Destiny and despair weaved together like shadows at dusk. Cronus ruled supreme. The Titan king, draped in power and surrounded by dread, sat upon a throne carved from the bones of the earth, a monolithic seat of darkness casting long, haunted shadows that stretched across the land. The air was thick and damp, a breath of ancient fears. Here, in the cold and unyielding fortress of his reign, Cronus's heart and mind were haunted by a prophecy that clung to him like a shroud. It was a prophecy he could neither escape nor ignore. "Beware, Cronus," whispered the oracle's voices, dripping with ominous certainty. "For one day, your own child shall rise against you, overthrowing your reign and bringing an end to your power." This chilling foresight coiled within his thoughts, sparking an ever-growing paranoia in his heart. What he once saw as his unbreakable power now felt like glass, fragile enough to shatter at the faintest breath of the prophecy. His rule would no longer be a certainty, and his throne no longer invincible. The tendrils of fear gripped Cronus tightly, as relentless as the passing of time. The prophecy to him was no mere warning. It was a call to action, a summons to preserve his dominion by any means necessary. The throne room, usually a symbol of his reign, became a prison of his own making, echoing with the whispers of his dark resolve. Each child he had devoured became a reminder of his iron will, an act that bound his fate tighter to his own fears. With each swallow, he sealed away another life, one of his own blood, within the depths of darkness. Cronus's heart hardened with each sacrifice, and with it, his resolve turned steely. Every child born to him would face the same fate. They would be taken into the dark before they ever saw the light. So, bound by dread and fortified by fear, Cronus encased himself in an impenetrable armor of power, every shadow cloaking him in an aura that no mortal or god could penetrate. In the depths of Cronus's cruelty, a silent sorrow grew in his wife, Rhea. As the titaness of motherhood, Rhea bore the weight of each loss in silence, each child's fate marking a wound upon her heart. With every devouring, Cronus's heart grew colder, but Rhea's spirit grew restless, yearning to defy this destiny of despair. In the quiet moments of the night, when darkness fell upon their kingdom, Rhea turned her gaze toward the stars. Her voice trembled as she whispered her plea into the void. "Grant me the strength to save my children, to preserve what remains of my love." Unknown to her, the very stars she beseeched began to shift in response, weaving the threads of fate into a new tapestry. Destiny, it seemed, was aligning to prepare for a conflict that would shake even the heavens. Then, at last, Zeus was born. A dawn light spilled through the palace, cutting through the darkness that had lingered for so long, filling Rhea with a fierce hope she had not known in years. She wrapped her child in cloth spun from starlight, a precious being marked by destiny, and vowed that he would escape Cronus's shadow. With purpose in her heart, Rhea fled, carrying her infant to the far edge of the world. She sought refuge on the island of Crete, where the salty sea breeze caressed her face, promising sanctuary and safety. Within Crete's hidden grottos, she found solace. She discovered a cave far from Cronus's reach, adorned with crystals and vibrant wildflowers, where Zeus could be nurtured and shielded from his father's wrath. In this secret world, Rhea entrusted her child to the care of nymphs who welcomed her, and under the watchful eye of Crete, Zeus would grow, undisturbed by the terrors of Cronus's reign. This sanctuary would become his cradle, and from this place he would one day rise to fulfill the prophecy. In the lush chamber of the cave, Rhea laid Zeus on a bed of soft moss, a cradle woven by nature itself. The air within was rich with the scents of wildflowers, and the gentle hum of the nymphs surrounded him, a chorus of protectors and guides. They watched over the young god, laughing and singing, their voices weaving stories and lore into the fabric of his being. The nymphs nurtured his spirit, instilling in him a connection to the world and a strength that grew each day. Every tale they shared, every lesson they imparted, became a thread in the tapestry of his life, fortifying him for the trials that awaited him. He grew within their care, not just as a child, but as the bearer of a destiny that would shape the heavens. Yet, even within this sanctuary, whispers of fate lingered. Zeus felt the stirring of power within him, a flickering light that grew brighter each day. The nymphs, knowing of the prophecy that foretold his rise, often spoke of it as they watched him grow. "You are destined for greatness, young one," a nymph would say, her voice a soothing balm. But with such power comes a great responsibility. One day, you must rise to challenge the darkness that seeks to consume all you love. These words, planted like seeds in his heart, began to grow, igniting a flame within him that burned brighter with each passing day. Courage and defiance took root, preparing him for the darkness he would one day face. For Zeus was not merely a child of divine lineage, he was the embodiment of hope, a light born to pierce through Cronus's shadow. As Zeus grew, the shadows of Cronus loomed ever larger in his dreams. The cries of his siblings, trapped within their father's belly, haunted his sleep, urging him to embrace his destiny. Though shielded from the tyrant's reach, Zeus felt the weight of his family's suffering and the pull of a battle not yet fought. In time, he would confront the darkness that had taken them, forging a path to reclaim the future stolen by Cronus. The prophecy foretold of his rise, but also of the challenges that awaited him, a complex weave of alliances, betrayals, and trials that would reshape the very fabric of existence. As the sun set over Crete, casting long shadows across the grove, Rhea's heart swelled with both hope and fear. She had given her son a chance to escape the clutches of Cronus, but she knew that this was only the beginning. The road ahead was lined with challenges, each one a step toward the destiny that awaited him. Thus began the saga of Zeus, a god born from love, nurtured in hope, and destined to challenge the very foundations of the cosmos. His journey was only beginning, a path of trials that would forge him into a hero. As Zeus grows, preparing to one day confront his father's shadow, the fates of his siblings hang in the balance. What horrors await those still trapped within the belly of Cronus? Will Zeus's power be enough to free them? Join us in the next episode as this epic saga unfolds, revealing the tale of loss and determination, and a fierce desire to reclaim what has been taken. Within the twisted and shadowy depths of Cronus's belly, an ancient darkness pulsed, thick and suffocating. Here, where no light could reach, the Titan King's own children lay trapped in an abyss of despair, a twisted prison formed from their father's insatiable fear. Swallowed whole in his desperate attempt to avoid the prophecy, each child, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, felt the weight of his madness bearing down upon them. Here, time was meaningless, an endless stretch of blackness where the warmth of sunlight, the sense of the earth, and the sounds of life had faded into distant memories. This prison was not only one of flesh, but one woven from the strands of Cronus's twisted fate. It echoed with the memories of the life they would never know, binding them to a fate sealed by their father's greed and fear. Amidst the swallowed children was Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. Though gentle and nurturing by nature, her spirit flickered within the darkness, clinging to hope with a quiet yet unbreakable resolve. Known for bringing warmth to all she touched, Hestia now found herself struggling to keep that same flame alive within her own heart. "We must hold on," she whispered, her voice barely breaking through the silence. Though their prison was unyielding, she believed their bond could carry them through the shadows. Together, we must endure, the light of our love will guide us, even here. Her words, though soft, became a beacon within the suffocating void, her voice carrying a sliver of hope that touched each of her siblings, reminding them of the warmth that once bound them. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, drew strength from Hestia's words. She remembered the fields of grain she had once dreamed of tending, the orchards bursting with fruit, the joy of life she longed to share with the world. Her memories became an anchor, a reminder of the beauty waiting beyond the darkness. We are not defined by this darkness, she declared, her voice a quiet but firm resolve. We are more than this prison, and we will hold on to the life that waits beyond. The earth is still out there, waiting for us. Together, we will rise again. As she spoke, a spark of resilience flickered within her siblings, their resolve strengthened by the vision of life beyond the shadow of Cronus. United, their spirits formed an unbreakable pact against the tyranny of their father's fear. Hera, the queenly goddess and sister of Zeus, held her ground within the cold darkness, embodying the strength that would one day make her queen of the gods. Though she felt the weight of despair pressing down, her voice rose, a beacon of strength within their silent prison. We have been swallowed, but we are not defeated, she declared, her voice fierce and unwavering. Cronus may have imprisoned us, but he has not broken us. We will find a way to reclaim our lives and our futures. Her defiance lit a fire within her siblings, their shared determination sparking a quiet rebellion within the belly of the beast. Together, they began to murmur their plans, weaving their hopes and dreams into a single thread of purpose, a bond no darkness could break. Hades, often misunderstood as a brooding and solitary god, found his own courage kindling within him, inspired by his siblings' words. Though darkness was often his domain, he refused to let it define him here, in this forced prison of Cronus's making. If we are to escape, we must stay united, he said, his voice steady and resolute. I may one day dwell in shadows, but I will not let them consume me now. Together, we have the strength to break free. With his declaration, Hades' spirit joined the growing resolve of his siblings, each of them bound together by the love and determination that had been their only solace since their imprisonment. Amidst the despair, a flicker of hope emerged, a memory of Zeus, their youngest brother, who had escaped the clutches of their father. Hestia, with quiet confidence, whispered, "He will come for us. He carries the light of hope within him, and he will challenge the darkness that surrounds us." The mention of Zeus stirred something deep within each sibling, a reminder that they were not alone. Though separated by Cronus's power, they were still united by fate, and the thought of Zeus, free, alive, and growing stronger, filled them with newfound hope. As they whispered stories of Zeus, their spirits lifted, and the shadows around them seemed to fade, if only slightly. Their memories of the child who had escaped became a tether to the world beyond, a reminder that their fight was not in vain. Beyond the walls of their prison, Zeus, cradled in the arms of Rhea, grew strong. Nurtured in the hidden caves of Crete, he played under the watchful eyes of the Nymphs, blissfully unaware of the prison that held his siblings. Yet, deep within, he felt an unspoken connection tugging at him, an echo of the family he had yet to meet and the destiny that lay before him. With each passing day, the whispers of fate grew louder, urging Zeus toward his purpose. He sensed the plight of his siblings even as he played among the forest creatures, a faint calling that would one day drive him to face the truth of his origins. The divine spark within him kindled into a flame, a growing power that would one day defy the darkness of his father's dominion. As he grew, Zeus's destiny became clearer, a journey waiting for him that would test his strength and his spirit. The child, born of prophecy and hidden from Cronus's wrath, was not just a survivor. He was the light destined to pierce the shadows. In the belly of Cronus, the siblings held on to this hope, drawing strength from the thought of Zeus. Their silent rebellion against Cronus's tyranny became a song of defiance that echoed through the darkness. They knew that Zeus, the child of destiny, would come, a leader born from love and loss, destined to rise against the cruelty of their father. In the darkness, they clung to the thought of Zeus's strength, knowing that he would one day return to save them. For this struggle was not just their own, but a fight for the soul of the cosmos, a journey of love, courage, and liberation. As dawn approached in Crete, the shadows of Cronus lingered over Zeus's sanctuary, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. The siblings felt the pull of fate within the dark belly of their prison, a faint light guiding them to hold on until the child of prophecy would come. The road to liberation would be treacherous, filled with trials and allies yet unseen. But their resolve remained unshaken, and their bond unbreakable. Together they waited, knowing that one day their brother would rise to reclaim their lives and reshape the heavens. As Zeus begins to feel the stirrings of his destiny, he grows under the loving care of Rhea and the guardians of Crete. But as he learns of his family's fate, the young god's courage begins to awaken. Join us in the next episode as we uncover the secrets of Zeus's hidden childhood, his guardianship under the Nymphs, and the nurturing bonds that will forget the strength needed to defy a Titan king. ominous shadows cast by Cronus's dominion, there lay a sanctuary, Crete, an island as ancient as the heavens themselves. Its hidden groves and secret caves embraced a mystery known to few, a cradle of life where Zeus, the youngest child of Cronus, would be shielded from his father's relentless fear. Rhea, his mother, had chosen this place with a heart full of love and resolve, trusting Crete's protection to guard her son against the fate that had befallen her other children. Here, within the cave's rocky embrace, the sounds of the outside world fell away, leaving only the tender lullabies of nature. Within the sacred cave, Zeus found himself not alone. The gentle nymphs of Crete, caretakers of life and protectors of young gods, took Zeus under their care. Amalthea, a nurturing spirit in the form of a goat, watched over him, providing milk that sustained his body and a warmth that nourished his spirit. Her gentle bleats, soft as lullabies, filled his early days with a quiet joy. Alongside Amalthea, the buzzing bees of Crete gifted him honey as golden as the dawn, their efforts guided by the nymph Melissa. This divine honey, sweet and pure, strengthened Zeus, filling him with the vigor he would one day need to face the challenges that awaited him. As he tasted the honey and nestled against Amalthea's soft fur, Zeus felt safe, loved, and free from the shadows that haunted his family. Each day brought a new adventure, each moment a gift nurtured in kindness. The nymphs, who watched over Zeus with care and devotion, knew of his destiny. They sensed the power growing within him and understood the role he would play in the world beyond their sanctuary. They were gentle in their lessons, guiding him not through commands, but through stories and whispers of wisdom. As he wandered through the lush green groves surrounding the cave, the nymphs shared with him tales of the stars, of the great forces of nature, and of the love that bound all living things. They spoke to him of courage, kindness, and the strength that comes from facing the darkness without fear. And though he was young, Zeus listened, his heart absorbing every word as if they were ancient truths meant just for him. One day, a nymph whispered as they watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the island. "You will have to rise and face great challenges, dear child. But remember, the light you carry within is stronger than any shadow." The nymph's words filled Zeus with a quiet courage, a sense of purpose that grew within him like the roots of an ancient tree. The island of Crete itself seemed to embrace Zeus as its own. He spent his days marveling at the natural beauty surrounding him, the gentle flutter of birds, the vibrant blossoms of wildflowers, and the rustling leaves that sang to him in the breeze. Nature became his playground, his teacher, and his friend. In time, Zeus learned to climb the rocky paths, to listen to the whispers of the trees and to feel the pulse of life in every stone and leaf. He sensed a power within him that resonated with the earth, as if he and the island were bound by a shared spirit, a connection that would become his strength. Under the watchful eye of his guardians, Zeus discovered an inner stillness, an understanding of the world that allowed him to see the beauty and potential of life. He felt himself growing stronger with each passing day, his connection to the earth deepening like roots entwining in the soil. As Zeus grew, he began to sense something unfamiliar yet exhilarating, a stirring of power deep within him, a light that burned like a small, steady flame. The nymphs noticed these first flickers of strength and recognized them as the signs of his divine heritage. One day, as he played among the rocks, Zeus lifted his hand, and a faint spark of energy flickered from his fingers, lighting the air around him with a soft glow. Startled but thrilled, he looked to the nymphs, whose eyes sparkled with pride. "This is the beginning," one of them whispered, her voice gentle and filled with reverence. "You are meant to wield great power, young one, but power must be tempered with wisdom and compassion. Remember, the strength within you is a gift, not just for you, but for the world." Zeus's heart swelled with a sense of purpose, a knowledge that he carried something unique within him. The flickering spark became a reminder of the path that lay before him, a destiny that awaited beyond the tranquil boundaries of Crete. From time to time, Zeus would ask his caretakers about his family, sensing there was a story yet untold. The nymphs, reluctant yet knowing he needed to understand, began to share pieces of his past. They spoke of Cronus, his father, whose fear had driven him to imprison Zeus's siblings in darkness, consuming them in a desperate bid to prevent a prophecy from coming true. "Your father feared you, dear child," a nymph explained softly, her voice full of sorrow. "He feared the prophecy that spoke of a child who would rise to overthrow him. But fate has a way of weaving its threads, and here you are, protected and cherished, while your siblings wait for release." Zeus listened, his young heart a mixture of innocence and newfound determination. Though he could not yet understand the full weight of the prophecy, he felt its presence like a distant call, echoing through the hidden corners of his mind. He sensed the strength growing within him, a spark igniting into a flame that would one day be powerful enough to challenge the darkness his siblings were trapped within. The nymph's words lingered in Zeus's thoughts, planting seeds of courage and defiance in his heart. As he grew, he began to see himself not just as a child hidden from harm, but as a symbol of hope. The nymphs spoke of the prophecy with a reverent awe, their voices soothing his eager spirit. "You are destined for greatness, young Zeus. But remember, With great power comes the responsibility to protect, to uplift, and to restore. The path before him was still shrouded in mystery, but within his heart the flame of purpose burned bright, a light that would one day stand against even the darkest of shadows. Each lesson, each story, and each day spent among the nurturing arms of Crete strengthened Zeus, building within him a resolve that even he did not yet fully understand. As he played under the canopy of trees or rested by the shimmering streams, the shadows of Cronus's tyranny grew ever larger in his dreams. Though he remained sheltered from his father's reach, Zeus felt the weight of destiny upon him, a calling to one day confront the darkness that had taken his siblings and reclaim their freedom. He would rise, not only for himself, but for his family and the world that awaited his light. The prophecy spoke of his rise, but also of the trials that would come, a path of alliances and betrayals that would shape the very fabric of Olympus and the world beyond. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a soft glow over the island, Zeus stood at the entrance of his cave, feeling the gentle breeze brush against his face. His heart swelled with gratitude for the life he had known, for the protection of the nymphs, and for the beauty of the world he was beginning to understand. But he knew deep down that this chapter was only the beginning. A path of challenges and triumphs lay ahead, a journey that would define not only his life, but the destiny of the cosmos. Thus, his hidden childhood came to a close, marking the end of innocence and the start of a divine journey. Zeus, born from love, nurtured in hope, would soon step into the world to change the very course of existence. As Zeus's destiny unfolds, he draws strength from the gifts of the nymphs and the creatures who shelter him. Join us in the next episode as we explore the sacred bonds formed between Zeus and his divine caretakers, and the nurturing gifts that will prepare him for the trials of the future. In the hidden sanctuary of Crete, far from the reach of Cronus's shadow, young Zeus was not alone. Here, he was surrounded by beings of light and compassion, nymphs, creatures who had watched over the earth since time immemorial. They were the silent caretakers of nature's beauty, dedicated to nurturing the divine child destined to change the course of existence. Among them was Amalthea, a gentle spirit in the form of a great soft-furred goat, and Melissa, a devoted nymph who summoned the bees to deliver their sweetest nectar. Together, they formed a bond of protection and devotion, caring for Zeus as he grew in strength and spirit, filling his early days with warmth and love. Amalthea, wise and nurturing, had taken a special role in watching over Zeus. Her eyes, filled with a quiet understanding, shone with love each time she looked upon him. She was more than a simple goat. She was a guardian, a mother figure who provided the young god with both nourishment and companionship. Each morning, Zeus would sit by her side, drinking the rich milk that gave him strength and vitality. The nymphs called her the life giver, for her milk carried a divine essence that nourished not just his body, but his spirit. Her presence was calming, a shield of warmth that Zeus would later carry with him as a cherished memory. Amalthea's care was a quiet reminder of the protection that bound them, a sacred bond that would give Zeus the resilience to face the dark journey that lay ahead. Alongside Amalthea was Melissa, a nymph with the rare gift of speaking to the bees. She guided the golden insects to collect their nectar from the wild flowers that adorned Crete's lush groves, filling the air with their industrious hum. Every day, the bees returned with their harvest, crafting honey as pure and golden as the morning sun. Melissa presented the honey to Zeus as a gift from the earth itself, and the taste of it became a source of strength. "This is the nectar of the gods, little one," she would say, her voice warm and full of affection. "May its sweetness fill you with the courage you will one day need." With each drop, the young god felt his energy grow, the honey infusing him with a strength as enduring as the mountains and as steadfast as the earth. This divine honey, crafted with care, became a sacred bond between Zeus and the world he would one day protect. Zeus's days passed under the protection of Amalthea and Melissa, but the nymphs who surrounded him brought not only safety, but joy and laughter. They would sing as they gathered wildflowers, their voices a harmonious melody that filled the sanctuary with light. These songs were stories of ancient times, tales of gods and stars, of forests and rivers passed down from the beginning of time. One nymph, with a voice soft as the wind, would often sing of a child destined to rise, a light born to pierce the darkness of the world. "You are that light, dear Zeus," she would whisper, as if sharing a sacred truth. "The strength you gain here will one day help you challenge even the mightiest of shadows." The music of their voices, the warmth of their presence, filled Zeus's heart with a sense of belonging and purpose. The nymphs were not just his protectors, they were his teachers, weaving courage and hope into his soul with every note. Crete was a world of wonders for young Zeus. Each day, he roamed the sacred groves under the watchful eyes of his guardians, discovering the beauty and mystery hidden in every corner of nature. He marveled at the way the sunlight danced through the leaves, the way streams carved paths through the earth, and the way every flower bloomed with life. Through these simple wonders, Zeus felt the heartbeat of the world, a pulse that resonated deep within him. The nymphs taught him to see this beauty as more than just a passing delight. It was a reminder of the world he was destined to protect. They encouraged him to listen to the whispers of the trees, the songs of birds, and the hum of the earth, guiding him to understand the bond between all living things. "The world is alive, Zeus," Amalthea would murmur as they watched the sun rise over the hills. "And you are a part of it, just as it is a part of you." These teachings became the foundation of his heart, a deep reverence for life that would define him as both God and protector. As Zeus grew, the divine spark within him began to awaken. The nourishment of Amalthea's milk, the sweetness of Melissa's honey, and the songs of the nymphs all played a role in shaping his power. He felt the strength of his lineage, the energy of his heritage coursing through him, and he began to understand the responsibility that came with it. One day, as he reached out to touch the petals of a nearby flower, a faint glow emerged from his fingers, illuminating the bloom with a soft, otherworldly light. Startled yet filled with wonder, he looked to the nymphs, who watched him with knowing smiles. "This is just the beginning," they whispered, their voices reverent. "One day, your power will grow as boundless as the skies. But remember, Zeus, your strength is not just for you. It is meant for those who cannot protect themselves." This moment planted a seed within Zeus, a sense of duty that would one day grow into the strength needed to confront the darkness that awaited. The nymphs, wise and gentle, knew that Zeus's strength would one day serve a greater purpose. They instilled in him the values of compassion, kindness, and courage. "Strength is only true when it protects," they would say, their voices gentle yet firm. A true leader does not seek power for himself, but for those who are in need. With each passing day, Zeus grew more than just in strength. He grew in understanding. The love he received from Amalthea, Melissa, and the other nymphs became the roots of his compassion, a compassion that would later guide him as he faced trials beyond imagining. These teachings formed the heart of Zeus's character, grounding his divine power with a commitment to justice and mercy. The wisdom imparted to him by his guardians became his foundation, a reminder of the sacred duty he was destined to fulfill. As the days passed, the whispers of destiny grew louder within the quiet groves of Crete. Zeus felt a calling, a pull towards something greater than himself, a destiny that lay beyond the protective embrace of the island. days of innocence were drawing to a close, but the gifts of Amalthea, Melissa, and the nymphs would forever remain with him. He was no longer just a child hidden away. He was becoming a force, a light that would one day challenge the shadows that clung to his family and threaten the world beyond. The foundation of strength and compassion laid here would be his armor, his guiding light as he faced the trials awaiting him. As the sun dipped below the horizon and cast long shadows across the grove, Zeus watched the sky with a heart full of gratitude. He was ready to embrace the path that lay before him, carrying with him the love and teachings of his guardians. The nourishment of Amalthea's milk, the gift of Melissa's honey, and the wisdom of the nymphs would stay with him forever, anchoring him as he ventured toward his destiny. Zeus, nurtured by the divine kindness of his protectors, was ready to face the darkness, prepared by love to stand as a beacon of light and strength. But the time for hidden childhood was coming to an end. Zeus would soon feel the call of destiny urging him forward. Join us in the next episode as Zeus takes the first step toward discovering his purpose, a journey that would lead him into the heart of his fate and the beginning of a battle that would shape the cosmos itself. Quiet sanctuary of Crete, where he had spent his childhood shielded from the shadows of his father's fear, Zeus felt a stirring within him. The nymphs watched as he paced the grove, no longer a child, but a young god whose heart burned with questions and an unrelenting pull toward something beyond the island's serene borders. Though Crete had been his refuge, the place where he'd grown under the love of Amalthea, Melissa, and the other nymphs, Zeus now sensed that his time of innocence was drawing to an end. He was beginning to feel the weight of the destiny he had yet to understand, a calling that tugged at him, urging him forward into the unknown. The quiet contentment of his youth now seemed too small for him, as if he were outgrowing the safety of Crete, like a tree whose roots must push deeper to thrive. And so, he turned his gaze toward the horizon, his heart filled with both anticipation and a sense of longing. The nymphs, who had watched over him for years, could see the change in Zeus. They knew the time had come to tell him of the prophecy that lay at the heart of his existence. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the grove, they gathered around him. In solemn voices, they spoke of Cronus, his father, the mighty Titan king who had swallowed Zeus's siblings in a desperate attempt to thwart a prophecy foretold by the ancient oracles. A child born of Cronus will one day rise against him, the prophecy had declared, and bring an end to his rule. As the nymphs shared this truth, Zeus felt a surge of emotions: shock, sadness for the siblings he had never known, and a growing resolve that burned like a fire within him. He realized that he was not just a child hidden from harm. He was part of a much larger plan. His life had a purpose, one that had been woven into the very fabric of existence. As Zeus grappled with the weight of this revelation, his mind spun with questions. He had always known he was different, that a power lay dormant within him, but now he understood that this power was meant for a purpose far greater than himself. "What am I to do?" he asked, his voice filled with a mixture of determination and uncertainty. The nymphs looked at him with gentle eyes, understanding the burden he now carried. "Your path will not be easy, young Zeus," one nymph said, her voice soft yet resolute. "But the strength within you is meant to shine against the darkest shadow. You must rise to challenge your father and free those who suffer under his fear." The words settled upon Zeus like a mantle, a responsibility that both frightened and inspired him. He felt the beginnings of a resolve that would one day become unbreakable, a sense of duty to those who awaited his help. With each passing day, Zeus felt his inner power awakening, a steady current that coursed through him like the rivers that ran deep beneath the earth. His strength grew, fueled by the milk of Amalthea, the honey of Melissa, and the love of those who had nurtured him. One day, as he stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the vast open sea, Zeus raised his hand and felt the energy spark within him. Thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, as if echoing his heart's awakening. The sky seemed to respond to him, the clouds gathering in solemn witness to the emergence of his divine strength. He felt connected to the forces around him: the sky, the earth, the very essence of the island itself. And in that moment, he knew his purpose was not merely to protect himself, but to stand as a guardian, a force of change that would challenge even the mightiest of beings. The power he sensed was not a gift of privilege. It was a responsibility. He was meant to be a beacon, a light that would dispel the darkness that gripped his family and threatened the world. Sensing Zeus's growing power and the heavy responsibility he now bore, the nymphs gathered to share with him one final piece of wisdom. They spoke of balance, of the importance of using strength wisely, and the dangers of letting power consume one's heart. Strength without compassion is a shadow, they warned, their voices a melody of gentle caution. Remember, Zeus, that true power lies not in dominance, but in justice. A god must stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. Your heart must be as mighty as your strength. for it is love that will guide you when all else seems lost. Zeus took their words to heart, understanding that his journey would require not only strength but courage, compassion, and wisdom. His power would be tempered by the lessons he had learned in this hidden grove, by the love that had been gifted to him so freely. With his heart fortified by the love and wisdom of his guardians, Zeus felt ready to take the first step toward his destiny. No longer a child content to play in the safety of Crete's forests, he stood on the edge of his childhood, ready to face the world beyond. He knew that to fulfill his purpose, he would need allies, strength, and a will as unbreakable as the mountains. But most of all, he would need the courage to face the darkness that awaited him, to confront his father and free those bound by his tyranny. His heart pulsed with resolve, his spirit emboldened by the love he carried with him from Crete. Turning toward the path that would lead him beyond the sanctuary of his childhood, Zeus felt the weight of his calling settle upon him like armor. He was ready to step into his role, to become the light that would guide the world toward a new dawn. As the sun rose over Crete, bathing the island in golden light, Zeus stood at the entrance of the cave that had sheltered him. The nymphs gathered to bid him farewell, their eyes filled with pride and sorrow, knowing that this was the beginning of a journey that would change the cosmos. They had given him all they could, the nourishment of love, the strength of divine gifts, and the wisdom of ancient truths. Now, he would carry these gifts with him into a world that waited for his light. Zeus, the child of prophecy, would rise not just as a god, but as a hero, and thus, with a heart full of courage and a spirit bound to justice, Zeus stepped forward, ready to face the destiny that awaited him. The call of his purpose echoed in his mind, a song of defiance, hope, and the promise of a new dawn. As Zeus takes his first steps toward his destiny, he knows that he cannot face the darkness alone. Join us in the next episode as Zeus seeks powerful allies in the depths of Tartarus, where he must face his first test of courage and strength to free the Cyclopes, the ancient beings who hold the key to his power. After leaving Crete, Zeus journeyed across vast lands, his heart steeled by the promise of his destiny. Yet, he knew that to stand against Cronus and free his siblings, he would need allies of unimaginable strength. His path led him to the very depths of Tartarus, a realm of shadows, despair, and eternal confinement, where the strongest and most ancient beings were kept bound in darkness. Tartarus was not just a place, it was a void, an abyss that breathed with the weight of eons, and within its depths Tartarus were the Cyclopes, ancient smiths of the gods, known for their boundless strength and skill. They were the original forgers of divine weapons and possessors of power capable of shaking the heavens themselves, but Cronus, fearing their power, had imprisoned them long ago, condemning them to an eternity of darkness. Zeus's journey into Tartarus was treacherous. The air grew thick as he descended, shadows clinging to him as he ventured deeper into the heart of darkness. Soon, he could see the faint glow of molten rock illuminating the gloom, casting an eerie red light over vast chains and towering stone walls. At the center of Tartarus lay the Cyclopes, chained to massive rocks, their eyes dim from centuries of confinement. They looked up as Zeus approached, their expressions a mixture of surprise and cautious hope. Though their spirits had been wearied by their imprisonment, the sight of a god, free and unafraid, stirred something within them, a faint glimmer of the strength they once wielded. Zeus, feeling the weight of his purpose, approached the first of the Cyclopes, his voice steady and resolute. "I have come to free you," he declared. "Your power is needed to end the rule of Cronus and bring light to the world once more." But the Cyclopes, skeptical from ages of betrayal, did not immediately yield to Zeus's words. One of them, Brontes, spoke with a voice as deep as thunder. "You speak of freedom, young god, but do you understand the cost of what you seek? To defy Cronus is to invite his wrath, to wage a war that could tear the heavens apart." Zeus met their wary gaze, his heart steady and undeterred. "I have lived in hiding, and I have seen the suffering caused by my father's fear. My siblings are bound within him, held captive by his dread. I would face any challenge, any wrath, to free them and to free you." The Cyclopes exchanged glances, impressed by the conviction in Zeus's voice. They saw in him a strength that was not only physical, but born from a fierce determination. They nodded, their trust slowly building, for here was one who seemed destined to restore balance to a world long overshadowed by fear. With a nod of agreement, Zeus began his work. Summoning his strength, he wrapped his hands around the massive iron chains binding the first Cyclops, Steropes. The chains were thick, forged to contain even the mightiest of beings, but Zeus's strength was greater than the Titans had anticipated. With a mighty pull, he strained against the weight of the metal, his muscles taut, his face resolute. At last, with a thunderous snap, the chains broke, clattering to the ground. The sound echoed through Tartarus, a call of liberation that sent shivers through the shadows. One by one, Zeus broke the chains of each Cyclops, his determination unwavering. As he freed the last of them, the Cyclopes rose, stretching their limbs for the first time in eons, their ancient strength rekindled and their spirits revived by the promise of a new dawn. The Cyclopes, grateful for their freedom and recognizing the power within Zeus, pledged their loyalty to him. They saw in him a leader worthy of their trust and a god with the courage to reshape destiny itself. As a gesture of gratitude and commitment, they offered Zeus a gift, a weapon forged from the very heart of the cosmos, a symbol of his divine power. From the depths of Tartarus, they summoned their ancient forges and set to work. Sparks flew, lighting up the cavern with an intense glow, and the air filled with the hum of molten metal and the clang of hammers. Finally, they emerged, holding a weapon of unparalleled power, a thunderbolt, crackling with energy, pulsating with the raw strength of the heavens. "This, Zeus, is your birthright," Brontes said, handing him the weapon. "With this thunderbolt, you hold the power to command the skies, to call forth storms, and to bring justice to those who seek to control through fear. May it serve you well." As Zeus grasped the thunderbolt, a surge of energy coursed through him, awakening the full depth of his power. He felt the might of the heavens within him, a connection to the forces of nature that pulsed like his own heartbeat. The thunderbolt was not merely a weapon, it was an extension of his spirit, a symbol of the courage and resolve that defined him. He raised the thunderbolt high, and a crack of thunder echoed through Tartarus, reverberating through the darkness as if to announce a shift in the cosmic order. Zeus felt a new strength, a sense of unity with the sky and earth, a knowledge that he was ready to face any threat that awaited him. The Cyclopes watched in awe, recognizing in him the god they had hoped for, a leader with the heart of a warrior and the wisdom to wield power with compassion. With the Cyclopes at his side, Zeus was no longer alone in his quest to overthrow Cronus. Together, they began to ascend from the depths of Tartarus, their steps echoing with purpose and resolve. Zeus had found allies who shared his vision of a world free from tyranny, a world where fear would no longer hold sway over the divine or the mortal. He knew the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but with the thunderbolt in hand and the loyalty of the Cyclopes, he felt ready to challenge the darkness. The first strike had been made, and the path toward freedom was now illuminated by the light of his newfound power and the strength of his allies. As they emerged from Tartarus, Zeus looked to the horizon, the beginning of a new era dawning before him. The time to confront Cronus was drawing near, and he would not face it alone. Zeus had taken his first steps toward fulfilling his destiny, descending into the depths of Tartarus to free the Cyclopes and awakening his own divine power. With the thunderbolt in hand and allies by his side, he felt ready to stand against the might of Cronus. His heart, steeled by purpose, burned with the promise of a future liberated from fear. The journey would be long, the battles fierce, but Zeus knew that he was no longer the hidden child of prophecy. He was the god who would lead his family to freedom and bring a new order to the cosmos. And as he left the darkness of Tartarus behind, the heavens themselves seemed to respond, the skies crackling with the anticipation of the storm to come. With the Thunderbolt in his grasp and the Cyclopes at his side, Zeus begins to embrace the full scope of his power. Join us in the next episode as he learns to wield the Thunderbolt, unlocking the divine strength within and preparing for the battles that will determine the fate of Olympus and beyond. Emerging from the depths of Tartarus with the Cyclopes at his side, Zeus stood beneath an open sky, holding the gift they had crafted for him, a thunderbolt, alive with raw, crackling energy. Its brilliance was undeniable, casting a radiant glow across the heavens and vibrating with a strength unlike anything he had ever felt. As Zeus gazed upon the thunderbolt, he felt its power echo within him, an electric pulse that resonated with the very core of his being. It was as though the weapon recognized him, an extension of his own spirit, a force of nature bound to his destiny. This thunderbolt was not just a gift, it was a symbol of the divine justice he would wield and the battles he would face. The Cyclopes, masters of ancient power and wisdom, gathered around Zeus, ready to guide him in mastering his new gift. Brontes, the eldest of the Cyclopes, spoke with a voice deep as the rumble of a distant storm. This thunderbolt is forged from the primal elements of creation, bound by the essence of the sky and the strength of the earth. To wield it is to command the storm itself, Zeus, but it will obey only a heart true to its purpose. Zeus listened, his heart filled with both reverence and determination. He raised the thunderbolt skyward, feeling the skies respond, darkening as clouds gathered and winds began to swirl around him. He sensed the elements bending to his will, drawn to him not out of fear, but out of respect for the strength he embodied. With each movement, he became more attuned to the thunderbolt, learning to channel his intent, his passion, and his resolve into the weapon. It was as though the storm recognized his heart's purpose, aligning with his resolve to bring justice and light to a world long shrouded in his father's darkness. As Zeus practiced, the Cyclopes encouraged him to push the boundaries of his control, to test the thunderbolt's power and his own limits. With a fierce cry, Zeus summoned the strength within him, releasing a bolt of energy that tore through the sky, illuminating the clouds with a blinding flash. The sound of thunder rolled across the heavens, a force that reverberated through the mountains and valleys alike. The intensity of the lightning left the air charged, crackling with energy. Zeus felt exhilaration unlike anything he had known, a rush of power tempered by a deep sense of responsibility. For he understood now that this weapon was not just a tool of strength, it was a force meant to uphold the balance, to challenge the tyranny of those who wielded power unjustly. Remember, Zeus, Brontes reminded him as the echoes of thunder faded. Your strength lies not just in force, but in your heart's purpose. The Thunderbolt will amplify what is within you, whether it be anger, courage, or compassion. Use it wisely. Zeus took these words to heart, recognizing that his power would only grow if his intentions remained true. He focused his mind, imagining the freedom of his siblings, bound in darkness within Cronus. He thought of the world beyond, longing for liberation from his father's reign. And as he did, the Thunderbolt responded, its light growing brighter, its energy pulsing with a strength that matched the fire in his heart. The more he practiced, the more he felt the Thunderbolt becoming a part of him, a manifestation of his will and his destiny. It became his voice in the skies, a roar of defiance against those who would oppress, and a beacon of hope for those waiting to be freed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Zeus stood atop a mountain, Thunderbolt in hand, and gazed out over the world stretched before him. In that moment, he glimpsed a vision of what could be, a world where Olympus was ruled by justice, where gods and mortals alike lived free from tyranny. He saw himself not as a hidden child, but as a leader, standing against the shadows cast by Cronus. The vision filled him with a newfound clarity, a deeper understanding of the path he was meant to walk. His strength was not for conquest, but for liberation. The Thunderbolt was his vow to the world, a promise to stand against the forces that threatened freedom and to bring balance to the cosmos. The Cyclopes watched him in silence, sensing that he was no longer simply wielding the Thunderbolt, but embodying its purpose. They knew then that their choice had been right, that this young god was the one destined to bring light to the shadows. As Zeus prepared to leave, the Cyclopes gathered around him, each offering him words of wisdom and support. They reminded him of the strength he now possessed and the duty it carried. Brontes, with a hand on Zeus's shoulder, spoke softly. The path you walk will not be easy, but you carry with you the strength of the storm, the light of the heavens. Remember, Zeus, that you are never truly alone. The power of the Thunderbolt is a reminder that we, too stand with you." Zeus nodded, his gratitude evident as he embraced each of the Cyclopes in turn. With their guidance, he had found not only his power, but his purpose. He was ready to confront the darkness, to face the challenges awaiting him, and to lead the charge against his father's reign. As he stepped away, the Thunderbolt hummed in his grasp, as if eager for the battles to come, for the dawn of a new age. And with each step forward, Zeus knew that his journey was no longer just about survival. It was about restoring balance to the heavens and fulfilling his destiny. With his allies behind him and the power of the Thunderbolt alive in his hands, Zeus set out, his heart a steady drumbeat of purpose. The skies seemed to part for him, the clouds acknowledging the power he carried and the resolve that drove him. He was no longer a mere child of prophecy. He was a force born of hope and shaped by the promise of a brighter future. As Zeus left the realm of the Cyclopes, his spirit burned with a clarity he had never known. The first strike had been made, the first test passed. Now, he would continue his journey to Olympus, gathering allies and preparing for the great battle that would define the fate of gods and mortals alike. The world awaited its liberator, and Zeus was ready to answer that call. In the quiet after his training, as the night settled around him, Zeus looked up at the stars with a sense of gratitude for the strength he now possessed. The Thunderbolt, a gift from the Cyclopes, had become a part of him, a reminder of his duty and the hope that filled his heart. He was ready to bring justice to the heavens, to challenge the forces that clung to power out of fear, and to restore the balance his father had shattered. This was just the beginning of his journey, a first step on a path lined with trials, allies, and challenges that would test every fiber of his being. But Zeus, the bearer of the Thunderbolt, was undaunted. He knew now that he was the storm, and he would carry this light into the heart of darkness. The journey to Olympus begins as Zeus sets out to gather allies for the impending war against Cronus. Join us in the next episode as Zeus's power grows and he unites those who share his vision, preparing to bring a new dawn to the realm of gods. In a world where destiny and despair weave together like shadows at dusk, Cronus ruled supreme. The Titan king, draped in power and surrounded by dread, sat upon a throne carved from the bones of the earth, a monolithic seat of darkness casting long, haunted shadows that stretched across the land. The air was thick and damp, a breath of ancient fears. Here, In the cold and unyielding fortress of his reign, Cronus's heart and mind were haunted by a prophecy that clung to him like a shroud. It was a prophecy he could neither escape nor ignore. "Beware, Cronus," whispered the oracle's voices, dripping with ominous certainty. "For one day, your own child shall rise against you, overthrowing your reign and bringing an end to your power." This chilling foresight coiled within his thoughts, sparking an ever-growing paranoia in his heart. What he once saw as his unbreakable power now felt like glass, fragile enough to shatter at the faintest breath of the prophecy. His rule would no longer be a certainty, and his throne no longer invincible. The tendrils of fear gripped Cronus tightly, as relentless as the passing of time. The prophecy to him was no mere warning. It was a call to action, a summons to preserve his dominion by any means necessary. The throne room, usually a symbol of his reign, became a prison of his own making, echoing with the whispers of his dark resolve. Each child he had devoured became a reminder of his iron will, an act that bound his fate tighter to his own fears. With each swallow, he sealed away another life, one of his own blood, within the depths of darkness. Cronus's heart hardened with each sacrifice, and with it, his resolve turned steely. Every child born to him would face the same fate. They would be taken into the dark before they ever saw the light. So, bound by dread and fortified by fear, Cronus encased himself in an impenetrable armor of power, every shadow cloaking him in an aura that no mortal or god could penetrate. In the depths of Cronus's cruelty, a silent sorrow grew in his wife, Rhea. As the titaness of motherhood, Rhea bore the weight of each loss in silence, each child's fate marking a wound upon her heart. With every devouring, Cronus's heart grew colder, but Rhea's spirit grew restless, yearning to defy this destiny of despair. In the quiet moments of the night, when darkness fell upon their kingdom, Rhea turned her gaze toward the stars. Her voice trembled as she whispered her plea into the void. "Grant me the strength to save my children, to preserve what remains of my love." Unknown to her, the very stars she beseeched began to shift in response, weaving the threads of fate into a new tapestry. Destiny, it seemed, was aligning to prepare for a conflict that would shake even the heavens. Then, at last, Zeus was born. A dawn light spilled through the palace, cutting through the darkness that had lingered for so long, filling Rhea with a fierce hope she had not known in years. She wrapped her child in cloth spun from starlight, a precious being marked by destiny, and vowed that he would escape Cronus's shadow. With purpose in her heart, Rhea fled, carrying her infant to the far edge of the world. She sought refuge on the island of Crete, where the salty sea breeze caressed her face, promising sanctuary and safety. Within Crete's hidden grottos, she found solace. She discovered a cave far from Cronus's reach, adorned with crystals and vibrant wildflowers, where Zeus could be nurtured and shielded from his father's wrath. In this secret world, Rhea entrusted her child to the care of nymphs who welcomed her, and under the watchful eye of Crete, Zeus would grow, undisturbed by the terrors of Cronus's reign. This sanctuary would become his cradle, and from this place he would one day rise to fulfill the prophecy. In the lush chamber of the cave, Rhea laid Zeus on a bed of soft moss, a cradle woven by nature itself. The air within was rich with the scents of wildflowers, and the gentle hum of the nymphs surrounded him, a chorus of protectors and guides. They watched over the young god, laughing and singing, their voices weaving stories and lore into the fabric of his being. The nymphs nurtured his spirit, instilling in him a connection to the world and a strength that grew each day. Every tale they shared, every lesson they imparted, became a thread in the tapestry of his life, fortifying him for the trials that awaited him. He grew within their care, not just as a child, but as the bearer of a destiny that would shape the heavens. Yet, even within this sanctuary, whispers of fate lingered. Zeus felt the stirring of power within him, a flickering light that grew brighter each day. The nymphs, knowing of the prophecy that foretold his rise, often spoke of it as they watched him grow. "You are destined for greatness, young one," a nymph would say, her voice a soothing balm. But with such power comes a great responsibility. One day, you must rise to challenge the darkness that seeks to consume all you love. These words, planted like seeds in his heart, began to grow, igniting a flame within him that burned brighter with each passing day. Courage and defiance took root, preparing him for the darkness he would one day face. For Zeus was not merely a child of divine lineage, he was the embodiment of hope, a light born to pierce through Cronus's shadow. As Zeus grew, the shadows of Cronus loomed ever larger in his dreams. The cries of his siblings, trapped within their father's belly, haunted his sleep, urging him to embrace his destiny. Though shielded from the tyrant's reach, Zeus felt the weight of his family's suffering and the pull of a battle not yet fought. In time, he would confront the darkness that had taken them, forging a path to reclaim the future stolen by Cronus. The prophecy foretold of his rise, but also of the challenges that awaited him, a complex weave of alliances, betrayals, and trials that would reshape the very fabric of existence. As the sun set over Crete, casting long shadows across the grove. Rhea's heart swelled with both hope and fear. She had given her son a chance to escape the clutches of Cronus, but she knew that this was only the beginning. The road ahead was lined with challenges, each one a step toward the destiny that awaited him. Thus began the saga of Zeus, a god born from love, nurtured in hope, and destined to challenge the very foundations of the cosmos. His journey was only beginning, a path of trials that would forge him into a hero. As Zeus grows, preparing to one day confront his father's shadow, the fates of his siblings hang in the balance. What horrors await those still trapped within the belly of Cronus? Will Zeus's power be enough to free them? Join us in the next episode as this epic saga unfolds, revealing the tale of loss and determination, and a fierce desire to reclaim what has been taken. Standing at the highest peak of Olympus, Zeus gazed across the land that stretched endlessly beneath him. As a cold wind swept over the mountain, he felt the weight of all that had brought him to this moment. From his hidden childhood in the cave on Crete, to the powerful allies gathered around him now, each memory strengthened his resolve, binding him closer to his purpose. He recalled the whispers of prophecy that had haunted his father Cronus, the prophecy that foretold of a child who would rise to overthrow him. Zeus could still feel the warmth of Amalthea's soft fur as she nurtured him, the taste of honey offered by Melissa, and the wisdom gifted by the nymphs who had first instilled in him the ideals of courage and compassion. It was in those quiet, hidden moments that he had first discovered his strength. Then the journey into Tartarus flashed in his mind, how he had freed the Cyclopes and received the Thunderbolt, a weapon unlike any other, a symbol of his power and destiny. He had gathered allies along the way, each bound to him not only by loyalty, but by a shared desire to bring justice to the cosmos. Together, they had forged the alliance of Olympus, a force of gods and titans alike, ready to face Cronus and the titans in the name of freedom and balance. Now Zeus understood that he had become not just the child of prophecy, but a leader of a cause far greater than himself. He looked at his allies, each one strong and resolute, and felt a surge of pride. The journey had been long, but they were ready. As Zeus prepared for the battle to come, he stood alongside his closest allies. Prometheus, wise and compassionate, offered strategic counsel. Cronus is powerful, but his power is ruled by fear, he said. We, however, are united by a purpose greater than any of us alone. We are bound by our commitment to a future without tyranny. Poseidon, his trident at his side, stood tall, embodying the strength of the ocean's fury, his resolve as vast and unyielding as the seas. Hades, calm and somber, brought with him the strength of shadows and the silent resolve of those who had faced darkness and come through stronger. Hera, radiant with fierce determination, her voice steady, declared, "Our time has come." No longer will Cronus's shadow bind the world. We will stand together as family and as protectors of Olympus. Demeter, her face a mixture of sorrow and defiance, spoke of the new growth and life they would bring once Cronus's reign ended. She represented not just a goddess of the harvest, but a promise of a world that would flourish free from fear. Hestia, embodying the spirit of unity, stepped forward, placing a hand over her heart as she vowed to uphold the light of hope. She turned to Zeus, her expression both proud and resolute. "The hearth fires will burn brightly once more," she said, illuminating a world free of oppression, where even mortals may live in peace. Each god and goddess present pledged their power, their strength, and their lives to the battle that lay ahead. Together they represented a force capable of challenging the Titans themselves, a unity Cronus could never hope to understand. With their alliances strengthened, Zeus and his companions began to plan the strategy that would guide them in the coming war. The Titanomachy, the war between the Olympian gods and the Titans, would be a conflict of unimaginable scale, a clash that would shake the foundations of existence. The Cyclopes, freed by Zeus and grateful for their liberty, began crafting powerful weapons for each of the Olympians, ensuring they would face the Titans with strength equal to their courage. Prometheus, who knew Cronus's habits and defenses well, shared insights into the weaknesses of the Titans, noting how Cronus relied on intimidation to keep others loyal. "His rule is brittle," he said, "for it is built on fear and control. Ours is a bond of trust and hope, which makes us stronger than he realizes." The Cyclops presented Zeus with armor forged from the stars themselves, a radiant shield that shimmered with celestial light, symbolizing the strength and resilience of Olympus. To Poseidon, they crafted a trident that could command the very seas, an extension of his power and an emblem of his commitment to his brother's cause. For Hades, they fashioned a helm that would allow him to pass unseen, giving him dominion over shadows and the ability to strike from places unseen. As each god received their weapons, they felt a surge of power, their divine abilities magnified by the gifts of the Cyclopes. This was no longer just a gathering. It was a force of gods, unified and prepared to confront the Titans in a battle for the ages. With the last preparations complete, Zeus and his allies stood together under the vast sky, each of them aware of the magnitude of what lay ahead. They raised their weapons, a silent oath shared among them, a promise to stand together no matter the outcome. They were united by a purpose far greater than any individual struggle, a vision of a world freed from fear, where justice and balance would reign. The sky above them darkened, lightning flashing across the heavens as if to mark the start of the battle. Thunder rolled, not as a threat but as a declaration, an answer to their collective resolve. Zeus raised the Thunderbolt, its light illuminating the faces of his allies, each one shining with determination. Together, they would face the wrath of Cronus and his titans, and together they would bring forth a new age. At dawn, Zeus led his allies from the heights of Olympus, their approach a testament to their unity and strength. As they neared the Titan's stronghold, the earth itself seemed to tremble, the world holding its breath for the battle that would reshape its destiny. Cronus, seated upon his dark throne, sensed the power rising against him, a force beyond anything he had ever anticipated. The Titans gathered around him, their faces filled with both anticipation and unease, for they too could feel the shift in the air, the arrival of a strength not born of fear, but of courage and justice. The first strike came like a clap of thunder, Zeus unleashing the might of his thunderbolt with a force that split the skies. The light of Olympus met the shadows of the Titans in a clash that echoed across the cosmos, the beginning of a battle that would test every ounce of their strength and resolve. The war raged for days, each clash of power shaking the heavens, each strike forging the future of Olympus. Zeus and his allies fought side by side, their unity unbreakable, their spirits strengthened by their shared vision. Poseidon commanded the seas, Hades wielded the shadows, Hera and Demeter unleashed their divine fury, and Prometheus's wisdom guided their strategy. Together, they became a force that even the Titans struggled to withstand. Cronus fought with all his might, his fury unmatched, but he faced an alliance driven by a purpose far greater than his own. The gods of Olympus, bound by their love for each other and the hope of a new era, pushed the Titans back, bit by bit, reclaiming the light that Cronus had sought to bury in darkness. At last, with a final strike of his thunderbolt, Zeus faced Cronus. The clash between father and son was as fierce as the storm itself, a battle that would define the fate of the cosmos. In that moment, the prophecy was fulfilled, the balance of power shifting as Zeus, with the strength of his allies beside him, triumphed over Cronus. With Cronus defeated, the Titans fell, their reign brought to an end. The world that had been shaped by fear now stood ready for a new era, one guided by the gods who had fought not for power, but for justice. Zeus and his allies had fulfilled their oath, reclaiming Olympus and restoring the balance that Cronus had disrupted. The battle was over, but the journey was only beginning. They had won the right to rule, but their responsibilities had only just begun. Together, they would build Olympus, a realm of order and harmony, a home for gods who would guide the world with wisdom and compassion. In the aftermath of the Titanomachy, Zeus and his allies gathered once more on the heights of Olympus, this time as its rightful rulers. The mountain that had once been a place of mystery now became the seat of divine power, a sanctuary where the gods would guide and protect the world below. Zeus looked upon his allies, each of them a pillar of strength, wisdom, and courage. He knew that their bond, forged in the fires of battle, would endure as they shaped the future together. They had not just won a war. They had earned a home, a legacy that would be remembered for ages to come. And so, the reign of Olympus began, a new age dawning under the guidance of Zeus, the god who had risen from hidden child to the king of gods, bound by a promise to protect and nurture the world. But peace in Olympus was only the beginning. Though the Titans had been defeated, new challenges awaited. To secure his throne, Zeus would face new battles and make difficult choices as forces both divine and mortal tested the strength of his rule. Join us in the next series where Zeus solidifies his power, encounters treacherous foes, and ultimately claims his place as the king of Olympus. The journey is far from over, and the gods of Olympus will face trials that will shape their legacy in ways yet unseen.